GBL, An Hourly Journey into the Indefinite, Part 1 of 2. I have been on GBL for so long now, and this drug has followed me through so many years of my life that I finally need to write a long-term account. Before anything else, I can only recommend one thing with all my heart. Keep your hands off this stuff. What you do not know, you will not miss. But let me start at the beginning. It was 2012. I was 26, average build, single, a broke student still living with my mom. On top of that, mentally ill and emotionally unstable. Fluoxetine was my antidepressant of choice, the only one that helped and whose side effects I could bear. Perfect starting conditions for addiction. No sense of meaning, constant dissatisfaction with yourself, and the promise of a quick solution. The first time I read about GBL was during the big police raids in Germany, when a certain shop got shut down and some people from the forum got paid a visit by the men in blue. I had no idea what the substance even was and didn't look any further. A year later, I stumbled over a site selling it. About 50 euros for half a liter. I grew curious as I read what people said you could do with it. Then I thought, better keep my hands off if it is so infamously addictive. Another year passed. I stumbled over yet another shop, clicked, ordered, curiosity won. I was wildly excited. I had tried a bunch of drugs before, the classics alcohol and cannabis. Neither ever really lit me up. Then tramadol, Tilidin, DXM, benzos, other opioids and opiates in pill form, and mushrooms. The last ones unfortunately did not work anymore because of the SSRI fluoxetine. Another story. Now it had to be GBL. So much product for so little money. If you do the math and a trip costs like 5 cents, this will last me forever, I thought. The beginnings. The delivery guy arrived with a bottle labeled cleaning agent. I did not yet know he would ring my bell once a month for years. I opened the package, took a whiff, soapy, but somehow poisonous. Why would anyone drink something used industrially as a cleaner? Then again, if everyone says it is so good, there must be something to it. After all, in the liver it turns into GHB, which is a controlled narcotic. So it must be good, right? I still had syringes around, even a 1 milliliter syringe. I drew up 1 milliliter, squirted it into a glass of cola, drank, and thought, well, you drank it, now go ahead and enjoy. I waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15, nothing. Why? What is going on? But then I remembered many people say the first dose often does nothing. Only one solution, redose. Carefully though, they call it knockout drops for a reason, and I did not want to fall asleep in broad daylight. I added another milliliter to the glass. About 10 minutes later, the turn kicked in. Wow, this is great. I felt light, a bit like tipsy, happy, talkative, aroused, not drunk, better. Like chugging a beer on an empty stomach, only gentler and nicer. I was thrilled. After about 2 hours, it faded. Why not take more if it feels this good? So I did. And it was lovely again. That evening I thought this must be perfect for sleep. 2 milliliters into a glass, into bed, and I was out instantly. 4 hours later I woke up again. I had been like dead, no dreams, no worries, no waking in between. Amazing, I thought. I can control my entire day, feel good when I want, fall asleep anywhere when I want, sleep as long as I want. At least 4 hours, sure. But who cares? Redose once and you get to a healthy 8 hours. Wonderful. Next morning I woke at 4. I had taken my KO dose around 11:30. I felt rested. My mother was up already for work. I sat with her in the living room, not without knocking back a milliliter first, because I wanted to feel really good, rested and right back to cheerful and chatty. What more could I want? Around 6, I thought I could use another nap. By 10, I would be fine. And that is exactly how it went. Perfect. It went on like this for a few days until I remembered how addictive this stuff is supposed to be. Maybe I should ease up. At first, that did not seem too hard. I was not physically dependent yet, or so I told myself. Then it cannot be that bad. But I already missed GBL. I was bored. Sitting at the computer had felt better yesterday than today. Why? I did not get it. Maybe distract yourself. I went outside for a walk and managed not to use. The weekend was coming. Back then I had a girlfriend I had been with for 7 months, but we only saw each other on weekends. One weekend she came to me, the other I went to her. This weekend it was my turn to travel. I forgot about GBL. I was distracted. We did the usual couple things: city strolls, movies, dinner, a nice weekend, Sunday back home, Monday back to uni. Not long until the semester break. January, cold on the streets. On the train home, I was already excited. The GBL was waiting on my desk, wanting to be drunk. Strange to look forward to a drug like a child to Christmas. That should have made me suspicious. It did not. That evening, I felt amazing again, for the moment. And sleep was easy anyway. I had insomnia before. GBL felt like the perfect fix. It continues, the next step. Monday, university. I have always been lazy, but back then I still went regularly, unlike now. Without my stuff, I grew restless. What do? I felt empty, drained, bored. My psyche was getting weak and started to anchor itself to GBL. I could not wait to get home and shoot a squirt into my drink. Everything fine again, though the euphoria was not what it had been. Why? Had I gotten used to 1 milliliter? Like with other drugs, increase the dose to get the effect. Tramadol had been the same. Start at 50 milligrams, end up at 400 milligrams. Fine, I redosed. Suddenly I felt nauseous and strange. I lay down. 2 hours later, I woke up drenched in sweat. Already? After just 2 hours? How can that be? I felt wrung out and weird. I needed a shot of GBL. Without realizing it, I was already in. It did not matter. The solution seemed so simple. 1 milliliter into a glass, and the day was handled. For an hour or two. Over time, my body latched on too. If I did not dose, I grew shaky, anxious, unwell. Runny nose, like coming down with the flu. Not a big deal, I thought, since I knew the remedy. I took GBL everywhere, to uni, to friends, to parties, to anything. At first, I did not have a method. I carried a 10 milliliter syringe and would step into the nearest bathroom, squirt a milliliter into my mouth, and wash it down. I had not yet discovered the capsule in capsule trick. I started enriching my water with GBL. For me, a 0.5 liter bottle with 3 milliliters worked well. I drank a third every hour, roughly 1 milliliter per hour. The timeless classic problem for a GBL head is the constant risk of nodding off anywhere. I had that issue often at university. Once I overdid it in a lecture, got sleepy, and slept 3/4 of an hour. When I came to, everyone was glaring. I had no clue what had happened. Classmates said I simply dropped off, snored like an animal, and could not be woken. Not surprising after a coma dose. You do not exactly advertise being hooked on GBL, understandably. Drugs are stigmatized anyway, and who admits to needing a dose of liquid every single hour? You tell yourself, now wait 2 hours before the next dose so this does not happen again. 10 minutes later, your head is already ringing. You are going into withdrawal. Better take another milliliter. Thought, done. The rebound with GBL is brutal. 1/4 hour, you are nodding with a dull throb in your head. Half an hour later, you are already sliding into withdrawal. Pros and cons. You must carry your stuff everywhere, but if you overshoot, at least the peak does not last too long. A friend came over and I told him about knockout drops. He wanted to try. I did not disclose that I was already fully dependent. He found it pleasant. We had a nice evening, and that was it for him. He respects these substances. Wise choice. Another weekend. This time my girlfriend was coming to stay with me. I thought, even with her here, you can use secretly. No one will notice. And so I started dosing, even when she was there, 24/7. Any unobserved moment, I would slip a milliliter into a glass. Back then, I did not have the rhythm I do now. I was not so conditioned yet. But if we watched a film, after 2 hours, I felt jittery, like a flu coming on. I dosed. What else could I do? It is so simple to erase those symptoms. If only norovirus were that easy. I was at roughly 10 milliliters a day at least. I could have stopped if I had truly wanted, I told myself. It was still more psychological than physical. The withdrawal was tolerable. I would not have gone into delirium after just weeks or months. But it is not that simple. The first bottle emptied quickly. I needed more. 10 milliliters a day, 500 milliliters ordered. Roughly 50 days. Since I had started lower, the first bottle lasted 2 or 3 months. The second went faster. Then I ordered a liter. That pattern continued for weeks and months, until summer. That is when the first big problem appeared. The first big problem. 2013. The vacation. One weekend at my girlfriend's, her parents talked about their Ibiza trip. They suggested we should also go away somewhere. The first thing on my mind was GBL. I had no idea how I would handle it. Then I thought a break might do me good. Distraction as medicine. Maybe I could finally get off the stuff. We searched online. The classic German choice, Mallorca. 1 week all-inclusive. Okay, I thought, a challenge. In a week, I could probably get clean. I had not been on it that long, right? By summer, I was at about 15 milliliters a day. But how to manage it? The flight? How do I take a syringe on a plane? No liquids allowed. I was scared of withdrawal. I had no idea what would happen after half a year on it. How to dose on vacation without my girlfriend noticing. Would I have to mix bottles with Spanish tap water? I asked for advice in the forum, especially about flying. People mentioned the capsule-in-capsule method. I ordered empty capsules sizes 0 and 00. Fill the inner with GBL and close it. Then slip a larger one over it to prevent leaks. I had a tiny pill box that held 6 size 00 capsules, perfect for my back pocket. Emergency kit for when I was away from my spiked bottles or had to go somewhere spontaneously. As long as I wore pants, I could disappear for 3 to 4 hours. One worry solved, I ordered a lot of empty caps. At home, I filled 100, roughly 0.6 milliliters per capsule. I tested them. With a slight delay, the effect kicked in after about 10 minutes. But you must drink enough water, or it burns in your esophagus, at least 200 milliliters. The worst is needing to dose with no drink nearby. Sometimes a capsule sticks in the esophagus and dissolves there. It burns like hell, but better than going into withdrawal. Weeks passed. I was out with my girlfriend and her parents. We went to restaurants and such. With my pill box always on me, I could dose secretly. I got good at it, eventually even in company. In the days before the trip, I lowered my use. I was at 10 to 15 milliliters per day, aiming for about 10. Not too bad, I thought. Most of it at night for sleep, otherwise 1 milliliter every 2 hours. I knew I had to taper, and the fear of being sick in Mallorca motivated me. Vacation was imminent. I was excited to see something other than my 4 walls or my girlfriend's apartment. I was also nervous about dosing logistics. How would I always have capsules on me? The box only held 6, about 3 hours of peace. It would have to do. The biggest worry was airport security. What if they found the capsules? I planned to claim it was medicine for fear of flying. I hoped the box would go unnoticed. It was plastic, not metal. We flew from Cologne early Saturday. I went to my girlfriend's Friday. I had prepped a full 120 capsule stash, about 72 milliliters, enough for a week, I told myself. I also had 1 syringe with GBL, but I did not want a comfortable using week. I wanted to use the distraction to quit. The flight was at 5 in the morning, up at 3, head to the airport. The 120 capsule box was in my suitcase with the rest of the luggage. Her father drove us. Before check-in, I took a swig from my fortified water bottle. After baggage drop, I wore summer pants with many pockets. In one side pocket, I had my small pill box with 6 capsules. I was nervous. Just 3 milliliters for the 2-hour flight until I had my luggage again. I could not take liquids through security and did not want to risk a syringe. I hoped for a smooth flight, security next. I emptied my metal items and prayed I would not be selected. No luck. The beep. They patted me down and wanded me. The officer briefly touched the pill box through the pocket, felt it was plastic, and moved on. Relief. Onto the plane. After takeoff, when the ground was far below, I felt the first alarm in my head. Time to dose. I swallowed 2 capsules unnoticed. Soon, the drinks cart came. I could wash them down. I took 2 more mid-flight, which worried me. Only 2 left. In Palma, we waited ages for luggage, and the bus driver was already rushing us to the hotel. Another 2 hours on a coach. The heat outside hit me. Warm and thick Spanish air. I felt off. I also realized I had not taken much yesterday and today. I swallowed the last 2 capsules on the bus. I felt better, but now had nothing for the ride. What to do? The coach would take at least 2 hours, and unloading would take time too. I saw not all passengers had arrived. The luggage bay was still open. 2 drivers were chatting. I got off, and in halting English, made it clear I needed my suitcase. I do not think they understood, but I tore through the bags until I found mine, dug out my big 120 capsule box, refilled my small pill box with 6, and swallowed 1 at once. Then I stowed the suitcase and got back on. Calm again, at least 3 hours secured. After about 2.5 hours, we reached the hotel. I had only taken maybe 2 more capsules on the ride. We were early. Our room was not ready, and the bags were locked away. We sat at the pool bar. I felt worse and blamed the heat. In the room, I told my girlfriend I needed to lie down. I felt awful, like I was getting a fever. At first, I did not know why. Then it hit me. I had been distracted for hours and underdosed. Withdrawal can also just arrive out of nowhere. I took 2 capsules. 15 minutes later, I felt much better. These were my first clear signs of a mild physical dependence, the first time I truly noticed it. We planned to walk to the next town to visit her sister, who had been there a week and was leaving in 2 days. I refilled my pillbox and we set off. An hour later, there we were, and I started to feel sick again. I took more of my fat capsules, as I told my girlfriend. I could not always manage to dose secretly, so I said they were fat burners. I was dieting then and had lost weight. It sounded plausible enough. The vacation went by without major drama. I used relatively little. I always had the pillbox, but I even managed 5 or 6 hours without dosing once. Overall, I was almost clean afterward. A whole week, 72 milliliters in capsule form, and I had not even finished them. That is about 6 to 8 milliliters a day. I could sleep without GBL, though only briefly. I would wake at night and need at least 1 milliliter in capsule form. Then I could go back to sleep without a KO dose. Back then, I was not where I am today. I knew I could make the jump now. I would have made it. But the next Saturday, back home, my bottles and GBL syringes were sitting in my backpack at my girlfriend's place. I stayed one more day and went home Sunday, because Monday, real life started again. I immediately fell back into the old pattern and was back at 15 milliliters a day in no time. Easy come, easy go. I learned I can only quit if I do not have enough GBL around and know I must ration it. With a liter bottle next to you, that is very, very hard. It went on like that for weeks until I found out my girlfriend was cheating. I confronted her by phone and ended it. After spending the weekend at my place, she had taken a train to the next guy. Unbelievable, but true. The 1-year relationship was over in an instant. I had found out by reading her phone backup after growing suspicious of her behavior. I was single again. I pushed my dose up to 20 to 25 milliliters per day. The first GBL problems. I kept using. No one knew. I had to have my stuff with me everywhere to avoid withdrawal. Whatever I did, wherever I went, I had to plan. Not even my best friend knew. I did not want to tell anyone. I was afraid of their reactions. My best friend, for example, would have tried to talk me out of it. But in the end, it is my decision when I stop, and I could not deal with someone nagging me constantly. So I kept it secret. After about a year, my trusted shop disappeared. I wanted to reorder. The site was gone, like it had never existed. Great. I had around 100 milliliters left, no reserve. What now? I was scared of what would happen if I could not keep my dose. I told myself it was a good time to taper. I had no choice. I tracked my pattern and stretched the intervals. Meanwhile, I searched for new suppliers. I did not know the safe or scam resources yet. I had to find something. I did not want to order from the US because of customs. I found another shop in the Netherlands. I ordered a liter and emailed that I needed it urgently. I was almost out and already getting twitchy. Tapering went okay under pressure, and the package arrived just in time. I had nothing left and would have gone into withdrawal. No idea what exactly would have happened, but now I had a refill. I treated myself to 1 or 2 milliliters. It seemed okay. Price was fine. Not that price matters much when you are dependent. You just want your fix. Weeks later, I ordered again. Then I noticed something was off. The effect felt different. I smelled the new bottle. Sharper, more chemical than the last one. I kept using and at first did not feel a big difference. Probably cut, I thought. I saved a bit of the old GBL as a backup in case I never found good stuff again. On the next order, my fear became real. I opened the bottle and a harsh, piercing smell hit me. That could not be GBL. Must be something else. I read posts and searched online about adulterants, maybe BDO, but I still do not know. What should I do? I used it anyway. At first, nothing remarkable, but after 2 or 3 doses, a horrible body feeling, stabbing pain in my head, sweating, restlessness, nausea. I could not tell. Was this withdrawal because it was weak, or a different substance? I was desperate. I dosed again. 10 minutes later, I was on the toilet. Worse dizziness, vomiting, flu feeling. Afterward, I sat back at the PC. The stabbing in my head remained. I lay down. For about an hour, I was in some undefined state I only understood in hindsight. Kneeling on the bed, hands clasped over my head, rocking, making noises like I was dying. I kept shouting, "Hey, hey, hey." Maybe a kind of psychosis. Whatever it was, it scrambled my brain. I do not know if it caused lasting damage. I still do not know if it was BDO. I was sure the liquid was wrong. But what now? I tried dosing every 2 hours instead of 1, to dodge withdrawal but avoid the weird symptoms. I was too desperate. I kept dosing. I diluted some of the bad stuff with my remaining good supply. Useless. I only wasted some of the good. I had a tiny bit left until a new vendor could help. I tapped my emergency stash and found a shop that seemed reliable. Express ordered a liter. But I knew I could not go on like this. This was no way to live. I needed help. I decided to confide in someone and go to my family doctor the next day to tell the truth. Luckily, no one was home during my episode. I do not want to imagine being found like that. Later, I saw reviews of the shady shop. Others had problems with quality too. The first call for help and the traps of addiction. Next morning, I sat at my doctor's, still shaken by the bad batch and genuinely afraid I had done permanent damage. I waited an hour. He has known me since childhood, though for years I had seen another doctor. I was afraid that if I told that one the truth, he would refuse to prescribe anything I might need for withdrawal. At that time, I was only on antidepressants and beta blockers. In the exam room, I was nervous. He came in and asked how he could help. I told him I was addicted to GBL and did not know what to do. He had no idea what it was until I explained. GABA receptors, the basics that matter. He said I should keep taking it for now and that he would get back to me once he knew more. I went home without a prescription. That afternoon, I met a close family member and opened up about my situation. At least someone now knew and could act in an emergency if I ended up delirious somewhere. Next morning, the phone rang and rang. No one was home. My mother was out shopping. It rang 5 times. Around noon, I got up. My mother said the doctor had called and I should call back. I did. They told me to come in today or tomorrow at the latest. I went the next day. He told me he had looked into GBL and now knew what it was. I asked where he got his information. From the internet, he said. That was my sign that I was in the wrong place. He had already called the head physician of the local detox ward and registered me for that evening. The chief doctor did not know much about GBL either, but he found it very interesting and wanted to help. No way was I going there. I was not going to be a lab rat for people who had no idea what they were doing. I said I would think about it. He warned me I was playing with my life and had to change. He told me to get out of the scene. There it was again, the addict stereotype. I had no scene. I used alone, at home, in secret. When I told him that, he looked surprised. Prejudice at work. He also said I had to tell my parents. He assured me they would not freak out. He does not know, my father. If he knew, he would not speak to me for years. Another problem entirely. In any case, I did not go. Doctor shopping ended there. Thankfully, there is doctor-patient confidentiality. He could not tell my parents or anyone else. What now? He did not even prescribe anything. He knew it was serious and that I could not handle it alone. I wanted to detox at home. This doctor never prescribes benzos, probably for good reasons, but I truly needed them. I tried another doctor in the next town. He also knew nothing, said GABA rings a bell, and sent me home with one tiny pack of oxazepam 10 milligrams. Useless. I popped them for fun. Thankfully, there was a local psychiatrist known for a loose hand with the prescription pad. He had examined me back when I was drafted and had cuts on my arms during the days of mandatory service. I got an appointment quickly. I will not forget this doctor. He had barely any qualifications besides writing scripts. In the office, I said I had trouble sleeping. He remembered me and my psychiatric history, but not the addiction, and I did not feel like telling him. "Let's get you sleeping again," he said. Dominal, mirtazapine, zopiclone, and lorazepam, 2.5 milligrams. Promising. Since zopiclone comes only in larger packs, he wrote me 2. I slept again, which had not been possible lately with GBL, but I adapted quickly, and soon I was tuned to the meds. At night, I still needed GBL, but less than before. It did not help in the end. I ate the lorazepam for fun and lost interest in detox. That is how it goes. One day, you see the size of the problem. The next day, you do not care for weeks. It is terrible. You can tell even from how irregularly I write this. Paranoid rhythms. You know your problem. You want to change, and then the next day, you stop caring for a while. At least I could stockpile some meds, I thought. Until the day the psychiatrist suddenly vanished. Pulled from traffic, so to speak. Anyone can guess why? I squeezed out one last script via the receptionist. Another doctor signed it, without the lorazepam. Probably for good reason. 2.5 milligrams is heavy artillery. What now? I needed another plan. I used up what I had and went to my regular GP, the one not in the loop, and told him the psychiatrist had closed and that I needed the meds I was stabilized on in the meantime. I am still getting them today. What changed? Nothing essential. It is 2018 now, and I am still using about 20 milliliters a day. What surprises me is that I never really went beyond 30 or 40. The new job and the new girlfriend. 2014/15. Back to 2014 and 2015. It has been a while, but I can still piece it together. By then, I had a new girlfriend, living half an hour away by car. I have to say, my libido is generally low. Fluoxetine kills it. GBL, despite what you often read, never boosted it for me. Everyone is different. That is medicine. I met her on a dating app, and the hiding game entered the next round. I always carried my backpack with 0.5-liter water bottles, each spiked with 3 milliliters GBL. People often wondered why I brought my own water everywhere. It looked like I either mistrusted the host's tap or thought they were rude for not offering me a drink. No one suspected the truth, that I had mixed drugs in there. I could not offer anyone a sip either. I did not want to poison them. That made me look unfriendly or stingy. What else could I do? With people less medically savvy, I said my blood pressure meds, beta blockers, were dissolved in the bottle, and I needed to sip all day to keep levels steady. Anyone with basic medical knowledge would call that nonsense. but it quieted the rest. I stayed over often, but sex rarely happened because I simply had no desire. I also nodded off at her place more than once because the dose was too high. She worked at the local hospital and one day mentioned an opening for students on a certain ward, night shift, and since I was a night owl anyway, she said it might suit me. I had been too lazy to work, but I forced myself to try. I needed money to fund my habit and did not want to live off my parents. I applied. The job was in demand, hundreds of applicants, 7 chosen. I had previous medical training and made a good impression, so I got it. January 2015, I started. I knew a hospital job could also mean access to medications. The work itself was fun. There was a short shift from 9 to midnight and a long one until 6 in the morning. By then, I had also discovered Tilidin, which would become a side addiction. I got along well with the nurses. If nights were quiet, I would sit in the station office for coffee and talk about everything. Since my girlfriend also worked on that ward, we would sometimes see each other at shift change. She did not do nights for mental health reasons and mostly worked evenings. She helped me get hold of medications. I researched online and in forums which drugs might help with a future detox. Benzos were a given. From my GP, I only got lorazepam 2.5 milligrams as needed. I asked my girlfriend to get me more and different things: pregabalin, bromazepam, midazolam syrup, diazepam. There was more. I will not go into details. I also had Tilidin now and then. What annoys me in hindsight is how much I snacked on these, thinking, you have so much, you can treat yourself. Classic mistake. I got baclofen and gabapentin myself, knowing what they were used for. Back to GBL. Of course I had to bring my bottles at night too, and dose carefully because nights are for sleeping and you are tired anyway. If you take too much, it is torture staying awake, so I let withdrawal creep in and then took 1 milliliter. After many shifts, I felt awful in the morning, nauseous and close to vomiting from the general sleep deficit on GBL, and staying up the whole night made it worse. I knew I was very sick, but at least I had a job and some money. Nothing dramatic happened that year until I was fired the next. I will not say why. You can probably guess. The head physician pulled me aside, and the job was gone. There I was, jobless again. The relationship ended too. It just did not fit anymore. I did not care much. Emotionally, I was numb. Fluoxetine on one side, 24/7 GBL on the other. You become indifferent to everything. A long stretch of apathy. Same with university. I took fewer courses, registered for fewer exams, overwhelmed. I slept at least 10 hours every day and still needed an evening nap for an hour. Even after 11 or 12 hours of sleep, I woke with a heavy head and deep eye circles. It felt like I had been up all night. Life without natural sleep is exhausting. Waking every few hours to sip, and the sleep meds at their own weight. This is not a healthy life. I do not need to spell it out. In the beginning, GBL sleep felt restorative, like sinking into a coma. Now it is just withering away in a weird world of crazy dreams, auditory hallucinations, and constant jerks. More on that later.